Hey guys, welcome back. So as you all saw today and I think yesterday, Fords in the Barrens will be out soon, the new expansion in Hearthstone. So I'm gonna try to do my first card review. I think they've released maybe 12, 14 cards in the new expansion. So I'll give my opinion. I would love to get your feedback as well if you have any on the new cards and some of the strategies that they could be used in. So let's see. Um, so the first one is Desperate Prayer. That's a priest card. It costs 0 and restores 5 health to each hero. So this is a holy type spell, and this is, as they mentioned, they have, I think, 6 or 7 different types of spells that they have, and I see that priest might be having a lot of those holy spells. And you can automatically see that it has synergies with the Spirit Healer, which is the 4 cost card that I'll discuss next in the new expansion. So it could just give enough health in general when you're defending against aggressive decks, because with Hunter or Rogue, they're just attacking you constantly, that you really need that 5 health. So restoring health to the other hero is not really material at that point. It doesn't actually matter. It's just you can think of it as a cheaper Radiance spell, so it's better than playing Radiance, just in this case, because it just costs you nothing. And when you think about like the new reinvented Priest, it's actually very useful to play it with Blood Weaver and Veil Weaver, because you can reduce the cost of your spells in your hand and at the same time generate more spells, and that could all be done in the same turn. So I do see this being played in the meta quite a bit, especially with how we've seen Priest play recently. With also resurrecting Lakura. I think it's a 4 cost card that resurrects 1 cost, 2 cost, and 3 cost minions. So this definitely goes in with that type of priest. So I do see this being played a lot. The next card is Spirit Healer, and that's what I mentioned. Again, it's even though it's a neutral card, but I don't see how this could be played in decks that are not priest decks. So it is a 4 cost card, and it has an attack of 3 and health of 6. And every time you play a holy spell, it gives a random minion plus 2 health. So as I mentioned, this could be very useful with Desperate Prayer, because you can play this on 1 turn and then the same turn make it 8 health. Or if you have other cards, in the case of Priest, where you have Blood Weaver or Veil Weaver, you could actually give them a lot more health and they become more resilient. So it might be slow, I think, in general, but what I think it'll have applicability with Priest generally. I just don't see how this could be played with any other hero. But we'll see. Maybe, this is only 14 cards that has been released. So maybe with more we'll get an idea of what holy spells are there in other classes. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. But it could. I just see this as being a bit slow, unless it's, as I mentioned, played with Priest. The next card is Imp Swarm, and these types of spells, so you have 3 different ranks. Rank 1 is, in this case, you summon 1 3/2 Imp, and then rank 2, which is when you reach 5 mana, you summon 2 of them, and then when you reach rank 3, which is when you have 10 mana, then you can summon 3 of these. Now, I'm not sure how this spell will work in the current Warlock decks that we see out there in the meta. You typically see 2 different types generally. It's either Zoo, you have a lot of aggressive low-cost cards and you're trying to put as many minions as fast as possible. And if you put this will be, I think, too slow. Even if you play it, this will just be playing, if you play it early enough, then you're just putting a 3/2 minion that costs 2. And if you wait till you have 5 mana, if you're not done with your game by 5 mana, then you might be in trouble with Zoo Warlock. So I don't see that fitting there. Now, on the other spectrum with control, more Ticketus type of decks that you see with Warlock, this is, um, I don't see much value in having this card. They're just better cards that fit with that strategy. It's just in summoning 3/2, even if you summon 3 of them and it only costs you 2 mana, still I don't see it. So I think, yeah, we'll have to see what other cards are released to complement it. But as it is right now, I just don't see it being played much in the new expansion. Now the next card, Druid is the first hero that I actually played with when I started playing Hearthstone like 3-4 years ago, or more like 3 years ago. And so I'm always excited when I see a Druid card. And this, at first glance, I think is very exciting. You know, you have a rush minion that, you know, you attack a minion. So it's a 7 cost, has 7 attack, 6 health. You can even kill a 5 attack minion and still transform that into a 6/7 taunt that's brand new, that's unhit. And so you can think of this as a 13/13 value for only 7, which again, it seems like it's really good, but I just think it's too slow. There is so many ways you can get rid of strong minions, especially like with aggressive decks. So it costs you 7, so you're left with 3, and that's assuming that you're you know, you're at 10 mana, or even if you're playing at turn 7 and you want to put that taunt in there, it's probably because you're being bombarded with, you know, attacks from rogue or a hunter or a demon hunter, and that taunt plays a significant role for you. But then when you think about it, it's, I mean, you can get, let's say for example, a rogue can get rid of that taunt very easily. So it costs you 7 to put that taunt, and then if they have a secret and they play a 1-cost card, then they could basically put it back in your hand. Or if they just play Sap, which costs 2, that would also put it back in your hand. Demon Hunter could easily silence this card with 1 mana. Even if you think of Warrior, which, you know, if you're gonna try to kind of eliminate it, Coerce would be a card that you use. It costs 3, but still, when you think about how much mana you've spent to actually play that card, you'll see that the opponent could easily get rid of it. So I think this becomes really effective if it can be summoned rather than being played at its original cost, which is 7. So we'll see what comes with the expansion and what Druid cards that are going to be coming out in the Forge of the Barrens, I think that's what it's called. So, but yeah, but if it can be summoned, then I think its true value will come out. Otherwise, I think it's going to be just like, it's going to be another Marsh Hydra, which is another exciting card that came out for Druid, but as you can see, you don't see much play from it these days. Now the next card is Sun Scale Raptor. I think this is an exciting card for people who play with Hunter. It only costs 1, and it's 1/3, so it has good stats in general. Again, Frenzy, you know, shuffle a Sunscale Raptor into your deck with permanent +2/+1. So this could have this, you know, snowball effect. You can keep shuffling Raptors, and they can keep giving them more health. And this is still, it complements that aggressive side of Hunter that we see these days. You know, the only thing is you might have to trade it with another 1-cost card that you use, which could be with Mystery Winner if Secrets is not something you want to go with. But what's very convenient about it is that the fact that it's Beast. So with Don't Feed the Animals or Scavenger Ingenuity, you could actually help buff this up. But again, that's all contingent that you're able to activate Frenzy. Now, it being 3 health helps with that, but it still might be a, you know, a condition that you need to satisfy, and that could be problematic. But if you do, then you could, you know, it only costs 1, and if it's permanently +2/+1 buffed, then you could overwhelm your opponent very quickly, and that's what Hunter tends to do anyway. So it's just a matter of what you're going to be trading this card with in your current deck to be able to do it. And it's most likely going to be another 1-cost card in your deck. It doesn't really change the way Hunter plays. It just allows it to be more aggressive if you plan it properly. But I don't see this you know, overwhelmingly changing the way we could think of Hunter, because unfortunately Hunter, it's all just about being aggressive and finishing the game. Maybe that's what the persona of Hunter is, but yeah, that just complements it, in my opinion. And again, with all that beast synergy that we're seeing, I think this will be good for it. So this, I think we'll be seeing a lot of this when the expansion comes out. Now the next one, I'm not really a big fan of this card, Razor Main Raider. It's a 5-cost card with 5 attack and 6 health, frenzy, attack a random enemy. I just don't see any value in this card. He's just seeing it be a complete filler, just to have enough cards in the expansion. It's too slow. If you put it at turn 5, that's the only thing you can do, and then again, they could be cleared easily. So, I mean, you could argue that okay, if you hit it and you need something that will take all the 6 health out in one turn. Otherwise, it's going to automatically hit face or hit one of your minions. But even that's not too bad because you could deal slight damage, take that hit, and then deal with it appropriately. So I just think it's too slow. And I mean the fact that it's a common card tells you that, but still you would want to have a card in general that you can see it being played. I just don't see how this one can be played. Maybe with the Risky Skipper with Warrior, but again that's 6 mana that you're spending, and with the current way people play in Hearthstone, it's just in the current meta, I see this being too slow. But we'll see. Maybe new cards will come out that will complement it. And now Mankrik. I think this is Mankrik. Yeah. I think this is a pretty good card. So it's a 3-cost card with 3 attack and 4 health. And then the battle cry basically helped Mankrik find his wife, which I think this is actually hilarious. Like, this is the first time I see Hearthstone like have a card that's, it's subtly funny in a way, which was last seen somewhere in your deck. So this is what you see here. So summon a 3/10 Mankrik who immediately attacks the enemy hero. So again, this seems to me like an aggressive card that you want to have in an aggressive deck. In general, it's a powerful 3-cost card. It has decent stats, but its true power comes out when the wife is drawn, basically, and it helps to get you that extra 3 damage that you need, as I mentioned, with aggressive decks. So I see this being played with rogues, hunters, demon hunters, possibly warriors. But other than that, I'm not sure where it would fit. And I think those are decent. I mean, if it finds play in 3-4 hero classes, I think that's pretty good anyway. But Demon Hunter and Rogue, they tend to draw cards very quickly. So you'll be able to find his wife very, very quickly. And the moment you play her, that's another 3 attack that could be just enough to win the game. Because that's usually what you need. You just need that extra 1 or 2 attack to win it. And I think Rogue has a card that allows you to draw spells that didn't originate in your deck. So that card can help you draw her very quickly. As you can see, it's a spell, not an actual minion card. Even with Hunter, like if this, like when you draw her, that you automatically gain 3 attack. So that will definitely be a plus there. So again, it's more on the aggressive side. Other than that, mid-range games, it could be useful, but we don't know. We'll have to see how, what other cards are released with it. But if you're going aggressive, that's a very good card to have, I think. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it right, Peon, or maybe it's Peon. But anyway, so this is a 2-cost card with 2 attack and 3 health. Frenzy, add a random spell from your class to your hand. So at first I thought of this as the other 5-cost card, the Razor Main Raider. I didn't really like it, but when I thought about it a bit, this could actually see a lot of application. It's not as useless as it might look. Now, I thought if it had Rush, that would automatically make it more convenient, of course. But even if it doesn't, it can be useful, for example, with Warrior if you play it after Risky Skipper, because again, you get that damage and then you get that spell to your hand right away. Or you can buff it with a Libram, so and it's more likely to survive. So if you play that on turn 2 and you couldn't get rid of it, the next time you have a Libram spell, just put it and then you can survive. So that you could be able to generate at least 1 spell from it. So that's something that could be useful. And I mean, there's a lot of 2 cost cards with 2 attack and 3 health. So just another one with the possibility of gaining a spell. So that's not too bad. Another thing that it will do also, it will make the opponents hesitate a bit. So if they have a certain card that they plan on playing on round 2, if that card will activate the frenzy, that might make them wait another turn. So in a way, that could slow the opponent's strategy. So the fact that it's sitting there, if you play it first before they play their card, then you might be at an advantage there. But if you play it after, if your turn 2 comes after them, then maybe its usefulness or the hesitation that the opponent would have when you play it is a little bit less, because they'll have 3 mana the next turn to counter it versus just having 2. So that's one thing to kind of think about. But I think it has some application. I think we'll see that card being played a little bit, not too much, but I think we'll see it out there. So the next card is Brokan. Again, not sure if I'm pronouncing this right. It's a 4-cost card, Shaman card, that has 5 attack and 4 health, with nature spell damage +3. Now, I mean, if this was just spell damage +3, this card would be nerfed right away. The moment they release this expansion, give it a day or two and it'll be nerfed. But because it's nature spell, that might make Shaman players get away with it. I think. It just depends what nature spells are gonna be. It seems from it that lightning spells are most likely gonna be nature spells. And that in itself is enough, because I mean, I actually have a list here of what these spells are. You have Lightning Bolt, Storm, Forked Lightning, Lightning Breath. These are all very strong lightning spells. And the fact that you have Lightning Bloom, which can give you those extra 2 mana crystals when you play that card, it could help Shaman really do a lot of damage to your face as a hero, or even to the minions. So I think this card will see a lot of play in Shaman. And I'm not sure what the archetype's called, but like spell Shaman, that they typically just like bombard the hero's face with just spells one after the other, and then have a lava burst at the end and just finish you. I think Brokan will see play in that type of Shaman. I'm not sure if we'll see play in other like Totem Shaman, or I think I guess the Shaman with the Wind Fury weapon could also benefit from Brokan. So we'll see. I think this card, I see it being nerfed because nature spells will overwhelmingly be probably Shaman, and Shaman has enough of these to cause some serious damage and finish games really quickly. So I think what's going to happen is we'll see a lot of those spell type Shaman decks, with this being at the center of it. So we'll see, and there might be even more nature spells that are being released. I think we only saw one that I'm going to talk about next. So yeah, even Storm Strike. So now you can. I think Storm Strike might be a nature spell just by the looks of it. So that will help you do 9 damage, alone, which is 3. Assuming the Shaman, the hero, will attack the other hero, that's 3 damage to the hero and 6 damage to a minion just from a 3-cost spell. Maybe the downside of Brokan is that it needs to survive a turn. Unless you play it in a late game, which you possibly can. If you play it like when you have 8 or 9 mana crystals, then it could have much more damage. But at turn 4, if you play it, most likely won't survive. But even if you play it at turn 4 and play a Lightning Bloom, you only have 2 mana crystals or even if you, let's say, play 2, you need to have 2 Lightning Blooms, but then how many other cards you need to have left in your hand? So I can see this being a bit towards the end of the game to be able to get the most damage out of it. More of an OTK kind of game. So this could be seen, I guess, in OTK decks. We'll see, but yeah, that's how I'm seeing it. But I think it's a very powerful card, and we'll see a lot of it when we see Shaman play. So the next card is Chain Lightning. So this is another one of those like ranked spells. It's a nature spell, so this is the first one that's been confirmed to be a nature spell. And you see that it's lightning, so that's why I'm guessing that any lightning sort of spell will be a nature spell. But we'll, again, I'm sure they're gonna confirm that for us soon. But it has 3 ranks. The first one is deal 2 damage to a minion and the random adjacent one. 5 mana, it will deal 3 damage, and then to the random adjacent one, and then once you reach 10 mana, it will deal 4 damage to a minion and the random adjacent one. Now, I think it's a pretty cool card to have in general, but I only see it being played in Control Shaman. I just don't see it working with any of the other archetypes that we know for Shaman. Whether it's Totem Shaman, this is just kind of useless because it tends to be like generate as many totems, copy them, duplicate them, give them a lot of attack, give them a lot of health, finish the game, and wrap it up. So this doesn't really work there. And that spell to the face kind of Shaman archetype that we see, you want spells that are just gonna straight go to the hero's face and deal damage. Clearing out minions is not something that you really look forward to. So this, I guess it could be used there, that it's just gonna slow Shaman down. It's gonna slow him down enough to not be able to finish the game early, because those types of decks actually end up finishing the game very early on, whether it's 5, 6, or 7 mana crystals. So unless it's a Control Shaman, I just don't see this being played. So maybe we'll be seeing more Control Shaman, especially if we see more of these spells. It is a 4-cost neutral card that's Rush with Frenzy. Deal damage equal to this minion's attack to all enemies, to all enemy minions, with 1 attack and 6 health. Now I have mixed feelings about this card. I mean, it could be useful in the case, for example, if you have a warrior and you're playing it as a warrior and you have a lot of Transform Druid, you can like play it and play Enrage at the same turn, and then it will survive the damage and deal 3 damage to all enemy minions, and you can clear a board, your enemy board, like that. Or it could be used against stealth rogues. So if you have a lot of stealth rogue minions, you don't actually need to hit them, you just need to make sure this takes damage somehow. Most of rogue stealth minions are usually 1 health, so that can help with that, but you need to be able to have a spell that deals damage to it yourself, or you need to have a minion that's on the board already that's not stealth for you to be able to clear it out. Another strategy for it is you can actually play this with Magtheridon. I'm not sure if I'm saying it right. It's the one that, once it awakens, it kills all the other minions and clears the board. So if you play that with Magtheridon and play an Enrage spell, then you can, basically kill the 3 minions and awaken it. But in most applications, this is just a 4-cost card that has Whirlwind with it. That even assumes that there's actually a card there that you can hit, and possibly deal 1 more damage to another minion. So it just doesn't seem to me to be too applicable, or even for clearing the board, which is I think what it's mostly supposed to be for. Maybe if it was like a beast, or it has some sort of minion type that you could buff it up and then you could actually benefit from it. But if you can't buff it up, I'm not sure how you could benefit from it. So it's not too exciting for a legendary minion, but I think it seems like they're going for a kind of a new type of strategy in Hearthstone where you buff a lot of minions. So if you're able to buff it, then you can benefit a lot from it. But to be able to use it in a buff state, that means you won't be able to play this at turn 4. So this seems like a late game kind of card. You'd be playing it at turn 7 or 8 after you buffed it, maybe with 3 or 4 attack. So it's interesting to look forward to see how this is gonna work out. But for now, again, given the current meta that I see, I don't know how this could be very useful for us. So the last card I'm going to be reviewing today is Shadow Hunter Vol'gin. I think that's how it's pronounced. So it's a 5-cost card. It's neutral, and it has 3 attack and 6 health. Battle Cry: choose a minion, swap it with a random one in its owner's hand. So that gives you the flexibility to play it on your own minion and swap it with a minion from your hand, or do it for the opponent for them. And that makes it a bit more versatile, where it has to be your minion. It can actually be one or the other. I see this as like the new Silas Darkmoon, where it has like this very unique effect that you don't see with any other card. And it could be useful in disrupting the opponent's strategies, especially with very strong minions like Rattlegore. And if you don't have a silence, Rattlegore is a pain. You cannot get rid of it. So this could be very easy, where you just give them Rattlegore back, tell them thank you very much, and then they play another card. Even if it's a strong card, if you can kill it, that's it. It's not going to keep giving you the thrattles that you just need to deal with. Or even if there's a Colossus of the Moon, because that's also another really annoying card to get rid of, or Scrapyard Colossus, that's another, it's a 7, the opponent spends 10 mana to play it, it's a 7/7, again, and the threat another 7/7, so you can just avoid all of that by giving it back to the opponent. It could also be useful for you, so if you have a Paladin deck, the Paladin deck that uses Nosdormo, the dragon, and you have a lot of low cost Murlocs and then a lot of high cost cards. This Shadowhunter Vulcan can actually be very useful, because you can, if but let's say by luck you have a lot of, all your deck is just like the Clown and Colossus Scrapyard, and you need to play, and you have it in your hand, then you can substitute one of your Murlocs at turn 5 with it. So that could be useful there. But it carries risk. First of all, it's very restrictive, because what if you have like high cost cards, high mana cards, and low mana cards? Then you're taking a risk if you play it for yourself. Even if you're swapping a low mana card with another low mana card, and then you put a 5-cost minion with 3 attack and 6 health, then I'm not sure you gain much from it. Okay, it's an okay turn, but for a legendary minion, you'd expect to get much more from it. So it carries that randomness risk that will make it an interesting card to play, but it's not going to be meta defining. But in general, I see this being used also as a last resort. Like you don't have anything to do anymore. They have a very strong minion that they know they can kill you with a lot of attack. So especially if you have a buffed minion on the ground. So if you return it to the opponent, it will lose all its buffs. So you could use it that way. And I think what's most interesting for me is if you play a Ticketus on the board and you can't get rid of Ticketus the same turn, then if you don't want to get another one from your shard, then you can actually play this and put Ticketus back into your hand and then use them again. Or Rogue has a lot of interesting Battlecry minions, so you can actually use that at turn 5 to bring a Battlecry card for Rogue back to your hand, and then play its Battlecry again. So that I see that being played quite a lot, but again, it's going to be interesting to see it. But I don't think this is going to be defining any metas in general. So yeah, this is it. And as more cards come out, most likely next weekend, I'll release another video with my thoughts on the cards. If you like this, please like and subscribe, and I would love to hear your thoughts and ideas about some of these cards, as I'll be trying them out soon when they come out. Okay, see you guys next time.